What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the videos. Hopefully you guys are having a better day than I am, because today I'm pulling the motor on my WRX once again. Figured I'd bring you guys along on the unfortunate progress of what I've got going on with the WRX. So let's get this ready to pull again, and I'll let you guys know what's going on. Okay guys, engine is ready to pull back out, but let me show you guys why we're pulling the engine back out. So I was going through my bolts and everything the other day, and I found this little guy. Nice little screw. If any of you guys can guess what this is for and why I'm pulling the engine back out, leave it down in the comments right now before I show you guys what it is. But leave it down in the comments what you guys think this little bolt is for and why I'm pulling the engine for it. If you guys can guess what it is, I'll give you guys a whole cake. But anyways, it's ready to pull back out. Let's go ahead and pull it out, and I will pull the thing that I need to pull off of the motor and show you guys why I'm pulling it back out. So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, I'll give you guys a second to pinpoint exactly what I forgot and what screw it is. If you haven't seen it already, it's this guy right here. And it might have been okay to run it as it is without it because it's got RTV all around the outside of this. However, I would have had hate to do all this work and, you know, go through all the trouble of putting together this motor and everything just to have that one little spot leak at the back of the motor. Eventually, I'd like to sell this once I get my other closed deck block put together and ready to run and everything. So the cleaner it is, the better. So the more safe I can be, the better before I put everything back together. So small, minor little issue. Luckily, everything wasn't all put back together when I realized it. It was only bolted into the bell housing, so it was a quick pull. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that screw in, throw everything back on, and it'll be ready to throw back in. Other than that, I'm just waiting on stuff to come back from powder coating so that I can put everything back together and then get the base map and tune ready for this car. But just wanted to bring you guys along on the everyday, I guess, failures or screw ups or little things that you forget and the reality of working on cars. So I'm gonna throw that screw back in one more time. It's this guy right here. I'm gonna throw him back in and put everything back together and throw the motor back in, and we'll go from there. I have another quick install that I'll probably do in this video of the AEM boost gauge. So I'll show you guys that. I've got a A-pillar gauge pod as well, so we'll probably be installing that, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's put this back together and throw the motor back in the car. Okay, like I said earlier, guys, we've got that boost gauge, that digital AEM boost gauge that I need to install. I've also got a A-pillar gauge pod that will go right here. I might have showed you guys that already, but if not, I will bring it out in a minute. But let's get the headlight on, get in here in the dark. I've never installed a gauge to the A-pillar, so I'm going to take this stuff apart, take the original A-pillar cover off, and kind of see what I need to do and how I need to route it. I think it might be kind of a pain in the butt, but I'll bring you guys along, show you any tips and tricks that I have on getting it all off and routed or fed through, like the wires and everything like that. But let's go ahead and just dive into it. Like I said, I've never done it before, so can't do anything other than just jump right in. So let's get this cover off and see what we need to do. Okay, so once I got the A-pillar cover off, there's actually a pretty large opening here. So I think all I'm going to do is take this, the two wires that I need fed down through there, and I'm going to take a coat hanger. I don't know if you guys can see the coat hanger. I take the coat hanger and tape it to the end of the wires and just kind of feed it down through there. So let me figure out how to, or I guess let me just tape this to the wires really quick, and I'll feed it in there and show you guys kind of where it comes out and everything and how I get it fed through there. Okay, so it worked out pretty well actually. You want to feed it down here to the left-hand side. You don't want to go all the way back because you'll hit the firewall and it'll interfere with your main bulk harness and it'll be hard to feed it through there. So you want to feed it through kind of to the left-hand side down here. And it comes out nice and good down here on the left-hand side. And you see I've got my bundle here. And I think my wire for my sensor, I'm going to feed right there through that hole in the firewall. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it comes out right underneath the brake booster down here somewhere. Going to be really hard to see from this angle. Once I get that fed through, I will show you guys where it comes out in the engine bay, and we can hook up our pressure sensor to a line, but that'll be later on down the road once I get the manifold back in and everything, and I can figure out routing for my boost and vacuum lines. So once I get that figured out, I'll bring you guys back to it. But let's go ahead and get this line for the sensor fed through the firewall. And then I've got my pillar pod right here. And we will try and get the gauge put in this and get this bad boy installed. We might need some, hopefully we won't need some self-tappers. You guys can probably see there's little holes there and there. Doesn't look like there's any on this side, but I don't want to put self-tappers in it just because that'll look tacky. So we'll see how we need to mount this and then we'll go from there. Really quick, just to show you the setup that I have going on in here. This is a complete rat's nest of wiring and everything. So I think one day I'm going to make a dedicated fuse box for all of my accessories and stuff. But for now, I've got my power for my two gauges right now running off of this accessory fuse. That's the power for both my gauges. And then I have them both ran back there to that nut and bolt ground. So I've got them grounded on that right there. And then everything else is kind of ran really poorly. So like I said, I think one day, probably not too far in the future, I'll be running a dedicated fuse box for all my accessories and gauges and stuff like that. Like I said, I would show you guys where it came out, and it literally comes out right under the brake booster, literally right down there. So I just pulled it through here, and we've got it ran up and out here to my boost pressure sensor. So we'll route this once we get our manifold and everything back on, and we can route our vacuum and boost lines. But for now, that is pretty much installed. So let me show you guys what it looks like here. So obviously this doesn't stay up very well. And like I said, I don't want to run self-tappers. So if there's anything you guys can think of that's going to keep this pillar gauge nice and secure up here, maybe some 3M double-sided tape, something like that. But there's a huge gap right there that I'm not really happy with. But if you guys have any suggestions on how to make this fit better and how to stay up, definitely let me know down in the comments. I need to figure out a way to keep it up, especially once we get the weight of the gauges in the pods. It's going to want to fall down even more. So self-tappers or 3M double-sided tape or something like that might be our best bet. But if you guys have any recommendations, definitely let me know down in the comments. As far as other things that we got going on, I need to put the STI cluster that I got in here, but I want to wait till we get the battery and everything ready to go back in, so that way when we turn the key on, we can get our cool lights and everything like that for like a first run. So for now, I'm not going to mess with that. It is sitting right there though. I have it all ready to go. Other than that, I want to show you guys today, I've got the engine stabbed everything should be back in place. Just need to put the clutch fork pin back in. So I will be showing you guys a cool tip and trick in the next clip on how to put that in. So let's go ahead and get this in, and we'll probably be done working on it until I can get everything back from powder coat, which shouldn't be long. He's pretty much done with everything, I think, except the manifold right now. So it shouldn't be long till we get everything back from powder coat and we can pretty much put everything back together. So let me show you some tips on putting this clutch fork pin back in, and we'll pretty much be done for the day. So to get this pin in, what you want to do, it's going to be really hard to see because I can't zoom in with my GoPro, but right now I have a tiny little screw with like a flat head on it screwed into the pin. Normally you can find like valve cover bolts or screws that will screw right into that pin, and you can use that to either pry it out when you're getting it apart or guide it back in when you're getting it back together. So I'm sure you guys can see that now, but it's back in and everything. And what you're going to want to do is push your clutch fork back toward the firewall as far as you can get it. And at that point, the pin should just slide all the way through. Now, there's two little tabs, indexing tabs, that will keep the pin in place that you need to kind of notch to something that's on the other side of the transmission. So what I like to do is take my wrench that fits that bolt that we put in there, and I like to put it in the on position, and I tighten the bolt or turn it clockwise as I'm putting pressure on the pin. So I push the pin toward the other side of the transmission and I tighten this bolt, and hopefully it should rotate the pin to where that little notch will line up. I gotta tighten this thing so that it'll actually spin. But once you get it tight, you should be able to turn it and apply some pressure. And hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. And I don't know if you guys saw that, but it literally just turned and went all the way into place. Hopefully you guys can see how much further that is in there now. But that's a pretty quick and easy way to twist that pin so that that notch lines up. Now I just got to make sure that the clutch pedal doesn't go to the floor when I get in and press the clutch. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. That's going to do it for this video. I don't have a whole lot I can do to the car right now just because I'm waiting, like I said, on stuff from powder coat. But that shouldn't be long, and once we get that stuff back, things should move really quickly in getting the car back together. And then after that, all we need to do is get it tuned and we'll be able to drive it. I'll be switching over to E85, so definitely stay tuned for that whole process. That should be really fun, and this car will be back on the road. For now, like I said, that's going to do it. This was just a quick video to update you guys, have some content to put out, show you guys a couple tips and tricks on putting in the gauge pillar pod and how to install a gauge and wiring through the side of the dash there. Pretty straightforward. I'm sure you guys are smart enough to figure it out on your own, but it's always cool to have tips and tricks. Another tip and trick that I wanted to show you guys was putting in that clutch fork pin, because sometimes it can be a real pain in the butt, but if you have the right tools and the right little tricks, it can go really smooth and really easily. I didn't show you guys with the clutch super smooth. Everything worked perfectly. So if you guys have any other questions, definitely let me know down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel for more content on this car, more content on the Legacy GT. We'll be getting that tuned soon and everything, and that'll be driving. So I have tons of stuff coming for the channel, so definitely subscribe. I would really appreciate it. That's going to do it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace!